everyone, and welcome to what is probably going to be the finale of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last time we got none other than Eggs Benedict himself on the stand. We got Gina to testify about the truth about the omnibus case, and we're just one step away from proving definitively that he is responsible for the murder of the pawnbroker, and we're going to uncover the truth behind Mr. McGilded's death, what the deal is with this music box, or sorry, with this small box, which is probably a music box, and the music disc itself, what it all means, and we're going to bring this case to a close. Let's get started. So this is the article in question, is it? A small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGill 2 months ago, and on the night of Mr. Winbank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, let's open it and see what's inside. Present time, open it up and see what's inside. Did I call it? Good gracious, it's no ordinary box, it seems. Wow, although in truth I had an inkling that might be the case. It would appear that the box has the miniature music box movement. I freaking call it. That's exactly what it is. It's the only box on the planet that can play that music disc. Now let's put it in and see what the hell is encrypted on this music disc. Is it too much to expect? I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for the playback of this disc, my lord. Do it. Finally, we're gonna get the answer. What is on this music disc? So here we have the means to play back Mr. McGillet's disc, deposited at the Windybanks at much the same time. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGillet's disc, it was the disc of his victim in the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGillet? You know, so you don't need to raise your hand. I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. At the court, now listen to this curious disc at last. Wait! Oh, look who suddenly has a problem. Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? Mr. I'm totally not colluding with Eggs Benedict over there. The music box and the disc are, well, they're related to the case. Where have you been for the past 4 hours, my dude? And no need to spoil the summer atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understanding what's happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no. Clearly, Scotland Yard has some vested interest here, but it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored, and you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. Yeah, you writhe in pain there, buddy. You just eat your fish and chips, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. No further delays, please. Play the disc. All right, everyone, ears up. Let's hear what it is. Let's hear what it is. Well, that's underwhelming. Maybe it's Morse code for something? Like maybe if you were to convert the individual dings like ding 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 as like long, cause wait, listen. Some of them are definitely shorter than and longer than others. So maybe it's like maybe if we were to convert this to Morse code, maybe that would mean something. Because actually, wait a minute. That's you know what? Hold on, wait. The newspaper, right? The newspaper said, okay, can't read it here. Does it say, which contains an article about government secrets being leaked to foreign agencies? That's probably what it is. That's probably what this is. I don't know why I didn't see it sooner. Honestly, probably because my brain is still trying to figure out where exactly we are in terms of time and like what technology is available for storing information. But I think that's what this is. This isn't a music disc at all. It's gotta be either Morse code or some other kind of crazy encryption that's used to leak the government secrets from one country to the other. That's gotta be what it is. That's the only thing that makes sense here. Because this is not music. This is a string of notes being played. That does not make it music. That's certainly not what I would call music. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in an irregular sequence. Oh yeah, you laugh it up now, Mr. Eggs Benedict. Mr. Graydon? This really is priceless. We'll see if you're laughing. Oh yeah, you strut your stuff. You do your little dance of not deduction, that's my thing. You do your little dance of happiness for now, but you just wait a little while longer. After all that, the music box is broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised.
if the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom.
Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, counsel? Come on! Yes, alright, it does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? It could be a clue. It could be a clue. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord. Good lord, but how can it be? It's an abomination, counsel. Mere noise. I fail to see how it could have any meaning whatsoever. It does sound strange, I agree, but there's only one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow, and that's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the sense of the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this. Oh! Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case? It's the defensive belief that the sound emanating from this music box is not supposed to be music. Just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean that the sounds we're hearing are music. Yeah, we're on to you now, buddy. Look at that! The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be.
Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Bruno.
Yeah, that's not what he did at all. Is that what you think happened when he does his little dance of deduction? That's not how that works. The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music? Well, now that you've told us what they are not, I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend. Surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-informed argument.
Exactly. The music box is clearly broken, refusing to accept that as pure foolishness.
They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Runo.
I've just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain it is not broken at all.
Really?
Really? The way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway.
Thank you, Iris. Alright. Well, if the music box isn't broken, I guess, wait, is it in the core record now? It's not, okay, so I wanna try to examine this further to see if there's a secret hidden here. I must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that it isn't musical. Can I examine it? Ah! Could it be? Is that what these sounds are?
Something's just struck me, Runo. I feel very recently in the past few hours even. I've heard another sound very much like the one this music box makes.
Yes, it's a familiar sound, absolutely, Iris. I was just thinking exactly the same thing. I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, counsel? My current theory is that it's Morse. Unless I'm missing something blatantly obvious, I think it's Morse code, trying to encode secrets. It's all pointing to one single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Nipponese friend presents proof now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. If I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds of the music box is the newspaper!
Take that!
Today's paper, counsel. The headline is Pawnbroker Perishes and Pit Purse Plunder. Hardly supportive of your calls. No, my lord. I have something to look a little further down the page. Further down? Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter being investigated at the highest level, I understand. I have heard that international transmissions along supposedly secure lines are somehow being intercepted and leaked to various other countries. And presumably, those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams? Of course. Juror number 5! Your input, please!
Oh, me, sir? Whatever's the matter?
You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, do you not? Yes, that's correct. And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports?
Oh, yes. We're not sure what of a middle communication station at all, because it's extremely important.
Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound?
You don't mean to say, is it?
That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it.
I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it!
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be no one more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer! Are you suggesting that our music box disc contains stolen government secrets and Morse code? Yes, I am. At long last, we've arrived to the heart of the matter. Order, please everyone, order. But this is high treason, council. Deserving of capital punishment. Too much new vocabulary. What is this treason, and what is capital punishment? The sorts of words I'd half expect you to know. For our sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any price. Yes, and on that night 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus! But in the end, McGilded perished, and the all-important disc claimed in the pawnbrokery. My word! In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must certainly have been beside himself with worry, because if the disc were to be able to be discovered before it found its way out of the country, it would reveal an act of high treason punishable by death. So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it, and in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night, because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if it got into the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon?
You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous.
So, in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you? A foolish mistake.
Well, of course I do. I've had to stand here in silence while that pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection.
Then, by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands the witness testifies in response to the accusations brought by the defense.
Delighted, I'm sure.
The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in the trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Winbank, that being a most felicitous offence, for the which the law of this land sanctions a capital punishment, but the heinous act of high treason is no less serious a crime. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then, oh, Jesus.
Oh, why are you, shouldn't you two have bugged off a long time ago? You got less I'm a rabbit and porky, governor. We got things to, no you don't. You've had your time to speak.
I beg your pardon. Who do you think you are?
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is professional. Yeah, we know who you are. That's not what he didn't mean that literally. Oh my god, you absolute buffoons. Oh my god. How do you get dressed in the morning exactly? The three Skulkin brothers. Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing.
Great, well that was a fun intrusion. I'm so glad they decided to pipe up for no goddamn reason. Great.
A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code.
Uh-huh.
It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Look, all we done is break into the gap the other night like what told us to do. If we'd known it was dodgy government secrets, well, we wouldn't have touched it.
I can believe it for you two. I can believe that you two were just in it to rob a place and get some money. But this guy over here seems to have a bit more, high-level plans in his mind than what you two would be capable of. So, Mr. Skulkin.
What Mr. will do, Governor? What's up?
Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? That on the night in question you did indeed gain entrance to the premises illegally? And moreover, you did so as a party of 3, in collaboration with Mr. Graydon here?
We did, Gollum, we did!
Well, great. So now your credibility has been utterly shot. Now let's finally tear his testimony to pieces once and for all. Quiet down, please. What say to you that, Mr. Graydon?
I have no idea what these two ruffians are referring to. You little rotter getting us mixed up in all this monkey business. You never said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be a straight-up job, see? And what about the geese who suffered it was, eh? Poor bloke didn't have to die, did he? Ah! Nice to know who your friends are. Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations.
Indeed. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it into the court record as evidence. Okay. Graydon's... Oh dear. Okay. So first things first, Let me look at the music box and see if there's anything that I'm missing here. Is that a hole? There's like a hole there.
Oh! What is it, Runo? I've just noticed something about this music box. Looks like the bottom of it opens up as well. Ah! You're right! Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it!
Alright then, here goes.
Look at that! There's another movement on the underside.
So, does that mean you can set another disc to play back on this side, which would make sense if they're meant to play simultaneously, right? Because he said he expected there to be 2 discs, not just 1.
Yeah, I think so. They're linked?
If you had 2 discs, they would both play back at the same time, which again makes sense because he said that he expected to find 2 discs when he came there that day. Okay, good thing I checked. Very good thing I checked then. Okay. Anyway, so testimony, sounds produced aren't even Morse code. The sound doesn't matter. Literally me doing this. Excuse the mic tap for a second. That constitutes as Morse code. I can tap anything. The sound doesn't matter. It's the rate, like it's the order of taps and duration of taps, like short taps, long taps, and the time and the sequence in which you phrase them in. So sound is irrelevant. What are you talking about?
They're not? To anyone with a brain, that'd be blatantly apparent for only listening to that music box for even a few seconds.
Of course. But what if there was another disc that was supposed to be playing simultaneously? Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Ouch. You look genuinely shocked at my ignorance.
I'd be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir.
A lesson here in court? Morse code is a good... Yeah, I know what Morse code is, thanks. I get it. I got it. I know... I brought it up instantly. I know what Morse code is. Thank you. Thank you. I got it. What is noticed in meaning this is apparently a random sequence of sounds. Okay, well then play another disc. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No! Really? You shouldn't be so surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspersions in the future.
Ah, stop. Nothing to say, but stop.
Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it, Iris? I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things would slot into place so nicely.
Could this still be something I haven't considered? Would it really be possible to use this music box? Nope. We did it. We found the secret. There's still every possibility that this music box was instrumental in the leaking of government secrets. That's the belief of the defense, at least. Does it please you in some way, my Nepalese friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? It's already been established that to be Morse code, 2 tones are required, dots and dashes. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Then what? Well, it would appear the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. You had better present your idea to Wallace Council. How do you propose this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could have been used to cipher secret messages into Morse code? Simply enough, there's another music box on the other side.
Oh, what is it, Bruno?
I've just noticed something about this music box. We already did this. We already did this song and dance. Thanks though. I already opened this up before.
Got it.
Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the underside of that music box? What? It appears, my lord, that the 2 movements are linked together. In other words, you can put 2 discs in this music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time. Good heavens. As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of 2 tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, this music box could be used to generate Morse code to convey a message. Now, as to where the second disc is, that I have no idea. But he clearly was expecting to find a second disc, and now we know where it can be played.
This is beyond a joke. I'm sorry. This poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims.
Though, of course, if my learned friend were able to present the court with a second disc, that'd be another matter. Yeah, that's where we have a problem, buddy. I can't at the moment. And may I remind the court that, as the witness has pointed out, he was not the one in the omnibus with McGill did 2 months ago, striking a deal over the desks or discs. Indeed. That was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
Exactly! I had nothing whatsoever to do with it.
Okay, well maybe, since your little burglar friends have now turned against you, maybe if I press your statements more, I can get them to slip up and expose you. Though it has holes, I must admit the argument presented for the defense has much promise. I believe the cross-examination should continue. Because the thing is, those two have nothing left to lose anymore. It's only to their benefit, would be only to their benefit if they were to turn against him and reveal everything they know about him. The link between Great and the victim of the omnibus case must be there somewhere, but I haven't found it yet.
Oh dear. Looks like you need to give your argument more strength, Runo.
You will reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon.
If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination.
Yeah, we'll see how pointless it is in a second. Alright, so let's just press... Actually, I guess I can press these guys' statements, right? Yeah, I can just skip... I cut out the middleman and just cut straight to them. Like Mr. Graydon told you to do, you mean?
That's it, yeah. Who else, eh? Cinnamon thought he was just popping over for nature after all them years, but the roller had a dodgy job for us. Ash?
Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? Do you mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours?
We're the sociable kind of baddies, you know?
Oh, someone's got something to say. Is something wrong, Mr. Skulkin? No, the other Mr. Skulkin.
What? Who, me?
When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react.
Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have a right old laugh together way back when, see?
Together? With Mr. Graydon, you mean?
Yeah, with Ash, I mean. But when he was younger, he was the poor part of town just like us.
Is that so?
But it was always a leery one. He had the brains, he had the savvy. Always coming up with smart ideas like what would never have gone through our heads.
Yeah, thanks, I gathered that much.
God blimey, ain't that the truth? Remember Milverton and Shukin's milk run? That was a corker, eh?
Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit, says the man with champagne bottles. But okay, whatever you say. Nevertheless, this court is not prepared to accompany you on your trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we turn our attention back to the testimony, please? I don't know. Could that little story be relevant somehow? I wasn't paying much attention, but I'll add it to the testimony again. I mean, I guess we can just ferret out more information. My lord! Yes, counsel? The brother's last little statement. Actually, let me just, real quick, before we go any further, let me review Sato's file so I know for sure. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus on the day of the status of the abdomen. Name, Mason Milverton. Wait, Milverton. Wait, didn't he just say that? Okay, I'm gonna listen to it again. Because we just asked him to add to the statement. I might be imagining, I might be just desperately looking for any kind of connection I can find at this point. But didn't he just say Milverton's milk run? Hold on, we might be onto something here, Say it again, What'd you say? Yes, Milverton's milk run, there we go, we got him now, we have the link, I'm sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that, some kind of business?
Just a little scheme we had going back when we was youngsters. Bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals is what it's always all about.
That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. Come on, give me the option. I suppose since we're here, I should ask them the name. Give me the name. We have the link. So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved?
Yeah, that's shit.
Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, was it?
Yeah, that's it.
And where did the Milverton part come from?
Oh, right. I thought a clever cog.
Oh, there we go. Aha, there we go. There's the link. Now he knows he's scared. He knows he's caught. How much longer are we expected to listen to this drivel? Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying? Tell me, why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject? Because well...
It weren't average of homes that one came from. Yeah, his old man was struggling for money so much, his wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon, then she...
Oh, did she now? Oh, so his name is actually Milverton! And you know who else's name is Milverton? That's not what... No, not the stupid manuscript. The victim, Mason Milverton. And just like that, our final piece of the puzzle has fallen right into place. So that used to be your surname, did it? Of
course not, this is all bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves? They have literally nothing left to lose and they've already said they're acquainted with you.
Your communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. It will be a very simple matter to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon.
Ah!
Well, it would appear that Mr. Skulkin's testimony has been reliable, for once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then. Is that correct?
Say it. Very well. Yes. And now we've got you. So, Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important.
Alright, so now I just need to find the statement where he says the name Milverton and we got him. Give me the statement. Oh, great. All of a sudden, we seem to be up to our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although, all this talk about interception of secret government messages is still just conjecture at this stage.
It would explain a number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard on the Omnibus 2 months ago, and the break-in at Windbanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the Omnibus Mr. McGill did. No, that was Mr. Mason. If only it was some link. Yeah, I get it. I have to establish some link. I got it. I know. I already found it. Okay. Where's the thing? Where do you say? No relation to the man, huh? Yeah, well, that's complete that's complete bullshit, because what do we need to present here? Oh, right, the file, obviously. McGill, case notes. We have the proof that you have connection by the name of Milverton! Objection! Mr. Ashley Milverton, tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's a real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name.
Explain yourself, please, counsel.
I have here the notes from the Omnibus case, my lord, and as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with McGill.
Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
That's right. Only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton.
Milverton? Do you mean to say, sakes alive?
Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father? I don't...
As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you joined the civil service, and it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records.
So the truth is you have been illegally acquiring a highly confidential government information, and selling it onto McGill in collaboration with your father!
Yeah, now he's running scared. Now he's running real scared. The new facts on the evidence brought to light by this cross-examination, or unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness, has all come together to reveal the truth!
The truth, you say? That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGill.
By dint of this music box, you mean?
Yes. Stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it on to McGill. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme of using two music boxes discs to encode the information. And as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands.
And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever.
But the deal with McGill went sour, and the brickmaker met his end.
Yes, but before he was arrested, McGill managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at Winterbanks 2 days ago, in an attempt to recover the two articles McGill had placed in pawn there.
But that attempt failed.
One of the discs was seized by the police and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time, determined to recover the second disc.
Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box?
We never knew nothing about that. On the night that Mr. Winterbank was killed. The intruders of the pawnbrokery touched one item, and one item alone, the music box.
As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the two prints from the security camera, indeed.
So the question that naturally begs answering is this: why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all of this action began on that fateful night 2 months ago? I refuse to accept any of this nonsense.
Whether you accept it or not is relevant, buddy, because we got the evidence to prove you wrong. Sir? There appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. Hey, let us spray you, buddy. Let us spray you with Iris's hairdryer for a second. 2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windbank's pawnbrokery. 1 took the life of the pawnbroker himself. 1 struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide, it's a bullet wound, isn't it?
He's got you now, you old China. Time to call it quits and croak, I reckon.
Don't acknowledge my presence in them under any circumstance whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? Clearly I was a fool to think I could trust some common backslum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windbanks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me. As you've noticed, I've sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. Yes. How inconvenient, as it were. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Well, you already refused to admit the previous things, so who's to say you're not lying about the other things as well? Stealing government secrets? Negotiating with Mr. McGilded? As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is? Well, we know that 1 bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. That bullet from the Skulkin's brother's gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windbank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon on the arm. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windbag was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. Goodness! That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could have possibly shot Mr. Windbag that night is you! Hold it. You little upstart! You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I built for myself in the communication station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed a crucial moment? You see. This makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. Yeah, but that doesn't really matter anymore, because the fact that you just spent the past, like, hour and a half lying about the fact that you were never there at all, and now that we've proven that you were, why should we take anything you say seriously for the rest of this trial? The answer is we shouldn't. What? Are you suggesting? I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at that poor, defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. You what? Yeah, try your luck, buddy. Go ahead and try your luck, see how well this works out for you.
Order, order, order. Well, it would have seemed we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Mr. Graydon?
Yes?
I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer.
Oh, I understand fully.
Then I must ask you to give your former testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim.
Nothing would give me greater pleasure. And nothing would give me greater pleasure than to tear your words to shreds. Letter by letter. Let's do it. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windbank threw Nash over a counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm.
I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole on the door, though. And the accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
What the hell? Good gracious, this is quite extraordinary testimony. Yeah, that's one word for it, alright. You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Yeah, just give me 5 minutes and I'll break it in half.
Order, order, order. It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither it is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So, you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation.
The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details.
Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood.
You say the blood splattered all over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point?
Oh yes, quite sure. All of the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time.
Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Well, we certainly found blood on her coat, but it's not blood that would help your case at all.
Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord.
What?
Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry.
There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound.
Ideas are no use to us in here, in science as in law. Theories must be proven before they
oh my god, you are such a pretentious asshat. We literally have proof that her hairdryer thing works. What are you talking about?
In Germany, a technique has already been employed in the courtroom as a basis of evidence.
Okay, everything has to start somewhere, so why don't we use this case as the foundation for future uses of the hairdryer in a courtroom?
Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used, with your lordship's permission. We could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes.
This doesn't look good, Bruno.
Why not?
Well, we know, don't we? There's blood all over the front of Jean's coat.
Yeah, but it doesn't belong. But it's blood, but it doesn't belong to the victim, so it doesn't matter.
If they test for their chemicals.
Oh, help! You're right. I was forgetting what happened. No, I remember what happened, but it wasn't the victim's blood. It was Thrice Fire Mason's blood. It literally doesn't matter. It's not blood that would hurt our case in any. Yeah, it's purple blood. If it were blue blood, that'd be one thing. But it's not. It's the purple blood. It's Mr. Mason's blood. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution.
Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination.
Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be...
Counsel!
Yes, my lord.
Your cross-examination.
So basically, we decided we have to get him to confess before those results get here. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now, I'll have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Alright, so we got one shot to make it work. We got one shot to tear his testimony to shreds. Okay, so we gotta work fast. Okay, fine. Fine. Yeah, shove himself inside, black coat, shot the man in the back, okay. Blood splatter over the wretched girl, that's gonna be proven. She tossed the gun. This is the part that made me go, what the hell are you talking about, buddy? Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out the room?
That's right, after the burger fell to the floor, she started walking over.
Over where exactly?
In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun to the people onto the floor on my side of the door.
But why on earth would she do such a thing?
I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon.
Yeah, that's why she ended up holding a different murder weapon in her hands instead. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, without thinking, I pointed and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case any more tragedies took place.
Yeah,
Okay, so it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime.
Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left.
Clear up?
We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle Intruder told us to tidy up, see? He thinks our blooming mums sometimes, see?
I was paying you enough, by God. Tell me, Mr. Raiden, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
You little toe rag.
Excuse me. Hey, what the hell's happening over here? Question? Gentlemen. You good, buddy? You appear to have had a bit of a scuffle.
Something wrong, Sunshine?
That should be my line. You do realize that you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin?
Blimey, this dude's a bit of an hooligan, ain't he?
What was going on just now?
You saw him. He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes he should. Didn't you mention the third gun when we got down to the station, see?
And why didn't you?
Of course, we didn't know nothing about it. Or the fleeing people on the door.
Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you?
God blimey, see the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, it's giving me the willies.
That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone.
No, that wasn't like Greg C at all. He's normally all sweetness and light no matter what I say to him.
Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris.
Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. What's your feeling, Bruno?
As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in the testimony at the moment.
But you had to find a way to break this man.
And quickly, too, because once I discovered the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing...
It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood splatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen.
We know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windbank, so what's going on?
All I know is it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? Detectives can use test tubes too.
Never mind that, I have to find a really stark inconsistency in that testimony somewhere. I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. Okay, it's a race against the clock here. I guess we just press everything that we possibly can. Well, that got us literally nowhere. Oh, don't tell me the results are here already.
I'm requesting your largest information to interrupt the cross-examination.
Explain yourself, officer. No, goddammit, no. I didn't. I pressed every statement. I pressed literally every statement and nothing came up.
Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat.
Thank you, officer. Very well. This cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Well, there you have it.
The report, please, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of spattering following a gunshot wound. End of report.
Goodness me. Yeah, you don't act so smug now, buddy.
See? What did I tell you?
No! The blood on the coat is not Mr. Windbank's! What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited in Windbank's, McGilded has fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton, so the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case!
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponiese friend?
Sorry? Well, not until the fake land becomes a thing.
2 months ago in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's innocence? And yet now that the man is dead, you brand him a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country.
Do you all just collectively forget that I actively presented evidence that was in direct contradiction to my client's innocence? Do you all forget that? I guess so. I call it a bally disgrace. Wow, all of you forgot what happened. All of you forgot what happened. Jesus.
I held out Plosky to a starving boy, and he ran away crying. Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all.
Well, he's not the one who made it. It's Iris is the one that made the damn thing. Iris is the inventor. The 200 IQ 10-year-old child is the one that made the goddamn thing. Victoria Sweeten. Oh, you hold your tongue, you little prick. This proves that this testimony is the whole truth from start to finish.
How did you arrive at such a conclusion, sir?
As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth.
Ah! Not good. Now what?
Been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman, as of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Not good.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Iris is literally an ingenious scientist. You people are all ageist. That's what this is. This is ageist. This is ageism. Good God.
Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict.
The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the juror's decisions being equally successful.
Ah. I don't believe it. After I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast? Sholmes? Sholmes, I'm guessing? Did he finally show up? Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me he's in disguise.
You've delivered a report now. I'll be all, thank you.
No way the bailiff would address me by name if it wasn't.
It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind.
I know that voice. Am I going mad? Ah! Yup, god damn it. Okay. Mr. Sholmes!
What is the meaning of this?
Well, look who decided to join the party.
Order, order, order.
What business do you have here, detective? Last I heard, you were recuperating in a hospital. As well as I would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand?
Hurley, it's really you. You're awake at last.
Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me.
In what manner, sir?
I have something of great importance I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time?
What say you to this, Lord Van Zeeks?
This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already.
Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go waste any more precious time.
As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, what are you so scared about, buddy?
Very well then. Counsel, you have 5 minutes.
Alright, Sholmes, what's up? What are you doing here?
My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival.
Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now?
Alright? I'm all wrong.
Sorry?
I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out.
Let's make this discussion as short as possible.
Hurley, this place is full of idiots.
Yeah. Wonder how none of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Finally, again, Iris, 200 IQ, the only person in this room with a brain, apparently.
As well. That concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community. An oversight on my part.
Right. Modesty? Surely not.
But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow.
What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping?
A leaving present from Miss Susato.
From Miss Susato?
If possible, matters were to be settled without giving me you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor.
I don't understand.
Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand, and that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you were wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril, as at the very moment of crisis you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions.
A leaving present from Susato-san. Whatever could it be? The cat door thing? That's the thing that... Oh my god, you fucking genius! Wait, hold on, before I lose my mind. Let me just make sure. Okay, I just had a flash of inspiration. Let me just make sure I'm not losing my mind here. It's not there. It's not there. Fucking genius. You absolute. How did I not see that? It's not there. It's not there. The hole's not there. But I guarantee we check in this one. It's there. It's right there. It's right there. You goddamn geniuses. Susato doesn't even have to be here, and she knew this was gonna happen. She knew this was gonna happen. She knew all along that it was all gonna come down to this. You absolute genius, Susato. My god, you're incredible. Okay, this is it. So, this is why we have the cat door thing. Oh, that is such a smart payoff, because it's such an insignificant thing that you'd never think twice about. That, oh, there's a cat that walks through a door. Of course, I know about cat and doggy doors. Why would I commit that to memory? But then sure enough, it comes back around full circle, the smallest of insignificant things having the most intense payoffs imaginable. God damn it, this game. Okay, so, we have the photos to prove that there was no hole there at the time of the murder, but there was there afterwards because Susato placed it there with this device, meaning that his whole testimony has just been torn to shreds. Because there's no way he could have seen through a hole that was never there in the first place. We got you now, buddy.
It's the machine I made.
Ah! Yep, I remember. I got it. Yep, yep, I got it. I remember. I don't know how I didn't see that before. I don't know how I didn't see that, but I don't know why. I was checking to see what was different. I don't know why. The tiny little slit in the wall. I didn't even see that. I was too focused on the giant lantern on the bottom of the picture. Oh, I didn't want to skip that far. Hold on. What did she say?
I call it the cat flap mad.
Miss Susato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant.
What? Didn't she say something like that? Yeah, she did. I don't know why she said it, because she has been the opposite of a failure, and she's demonstrating it right now that she is the exact opposite of a failure in every meaning of the word. So I don't know what the hell she meant by that. Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes?
At night, when you left Windbanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow.
No, not at all. No, not at all cryptic then. Susato-san used this cat flap mat that night, but why? I know exactly why. I know exactly why.
Your 5 minutes is over.
Ah, we're out of time already. That's all right. If we got enough, we got all the time we needed out of that. We got the info we needed.
I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder... Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan?
The rest is down to me? I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests further cross-examination, because I'm gonna rub this cat thing all over your face. Further cross-examination.
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather, to continue with one of an existing witness.
What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper.
Yeah, he said it was temporarily suspended, so we can continue.
So nobody can say anything then. If Bruno asked to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon...
The court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd.
Welcome to Ace Attorney, my friend.
I will remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it.
A single chance to present evidence?
If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels?
My lord.
Yes, my lord.
A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands.
As he wiggles into the ground. Mr. Sholmes! No, not Mr. Sholmes. And he'll be fine. He wiggles around like a he wiggles around like a worm all the time.
To stand so insociately before the court in a state of such high fever, either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling.
I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers.
Strike a man when he's down, why don't you?
Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared?
Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris, or Susato, who gave you this thing, and I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial.
Very well then. Under the terms I've outlined, you may resume the cross-examination.
That's great, because one statement is all I need. Just one piece of evidence. Just one statement. Just one final chance to shout out loud, OBJECTION!
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, counsel?
Ooh, it's my cat fluffing mat, my lord. It makes a way for a cat to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it.
That's right, my lord. Small doors for cats to... Oh, dear.
I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves.
Ah!
But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case.
Oh, really?
Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door.
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand.
Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all.
I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say?
2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windbank had taken place.
That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes.
Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant did what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous! What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime for pity's sake?
Yes. How could you?
What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean.
Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through!
No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was...
Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene, whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? This is the most serious act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I had left the scene in order to pursue the skulking brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes.
Riddled with? Explain yourself, Count.
Do you really need to explain to me how his whole thing is based on the fact that he looked through the peephole to see it? And that the gun was passed through the peephole. But neither of those things can be true anymore, because there was no peephole. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to have committed the defense, or the defendant, is based upon that he witnessed the peephole in the storeroom.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident that people did not yet exist at the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies! Ah! Order! 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 Is there any credence to this revelation?
None whatsoever.
Alright, well how about I show you some photos that prove that it wasn't there beforehand? Exactly! It's just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir.
Of course it is! Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes! I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd! I don't believe it for a second. Ha! I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy! Cooey! Time for dinner!
You put one in the court? Of course you did. Of course you did. This cat is adorable.
Well?
Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey.
I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the people in the storeroom door at Windbanks was made by your machine.
And there's no way you can prove that it was. Yes, I can.
No? But it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my Capcom meta creates are all of a fixed size, and the dimensions of the people at Windbanks are an exact match. Hee Old Turkey's lost for words.
Excellent work, Iris. Thank you.
And now it's my learned student's friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Easter Island home. Yeah, I seriously doubt it because of the delays. They want to have their cake and eat it too. She's not gone yet. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts. No, I won't, because we have photographs to prove it. For the sake of argument, let us assume the people had dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answers. Okay. Gladly. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. Yes, there is. There absolutely is proof in the form of 2 photographs made by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Airlock Sholmes, in fact. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. Come on, readers, you know you got this. You have the photos, and you know it. Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel?
Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through.
I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole on the door of the Winterbank storm was created after the event and not before. Take that!
What are you? A print from the detective's infernal cameras again?
My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotaba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman. Damn right she is, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises.
Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker.
But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a people of any description. Mr. Graydon! You couldn't possibly have witnessed any crime, as you claim to have done, because of the time it happened. There was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies! Yeah, spin around like a ballerina there, buddy. I'm sure that's gonna save you. Got you now, buddy. We got you now. What comes next?
Order, order, order. I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This one is a testimony. It was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we know now beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a...
You are just desperate to pin anyone you can. You literally said 10 minutes ago that if he was proved to be lying, he was confirmed to be guilty. Who do you think is more important to mess with right now? Someone who cut a hole in the door, or someone who murdered another human being? No, man. I'd go for the person who's a murderer. It's just me, though. That's just me. You do you.
But more importantly,
Good lord, does Lord Van Zeeks?
the defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof this man...
You just...
You! That was you! That was you! You're the one who said that not 10 minutes ago! You said that! You said it was him! You said that if he was proven to be lying, that he was...
Oh my god, Lord Van Zeeks. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, you just shot a cork in it already. I don't believe this, but they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit.
Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door.
No, don't leave, cat. No, come back. God damn it, my emotional support cat is gone.
Isn't that right, Runo? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote from one of my stories.
Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something that you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain the alleged inconsistency.
Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies of the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known about. Namely, the people. Obviously the people. We kind of knew that already. The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Now let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the people in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The people in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windbanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Yes, of course. The place is chock full of pond articles and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock and shifts so we can get through it all.
And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people in the storeroom door, so the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place to the people in the door.
How on earth is that possible? Well, if he had a certain inside source, might have been able to help him out. Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks?
Speak, Inspector.
It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station. Oh, how convenient. Well, sadly, you're in the middle of a murder trial, buddy. You're not going anywhere anytime soon. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so it's all the same to you.
Permission denied.
Oh?
It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Oh, of course, sir. Mr. Graydon, you shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Ugh.
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize I trust that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications.
Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who was the person in question, counsel? Who gave the witness details of the crime scene? It would have to be one Inspector Gregson, or should I say, Detective Fulbright 2.0! I guess 1.0, because he would have came first. The truth is, it could only have been you, Inspector Gregson!
Me?
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim,
My little friend. How about the fact that he's the one with the music disc, so we would have had to go through him? Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed. Preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess. While the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume that he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position, that he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson!
This is a bloomin' outrage! Why would I be giving away details of our investigation to the Stella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in the case, if you forgot. Yeah, but you also took the time to stop and talk to him while I was cross-examining Gina, if you forgot that. Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery.
which means the first time these two laid eyes at each other was after proceedings resumed following the recess.
Yeah, and they also took time to stop and talk like best friends while I was cross-examining Gina.
Since then, they've been in full view in the stand, where such illicit discussions can possibly have.
Did you all forget that they stopped to talk to each other?
Ooh, I just remembered something, Bruno.
What is it, Iris?
There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh yes, now that you mention it, when the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve Mr. McGilden's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony! Yep, I remember, I got it. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seem to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag, you're making all this up! I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector for crying out loud! Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain, but perhaps it was a part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, counsel?
I don't know. Maybe there was a certain music disc involved. I wonder if perhaps, in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal with a witness of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance.
Well, yeah.
It's becoming clear that jumping in with the accusations in this Nipponese student's specialty.
I don't do that.
But with the stakes so high, the prosecutor is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim.
Evidence?
Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal.
If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it!
Bruno, do you think it could be?
Yes, it's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, counsel. What evidence explains the nature of this alleged deal? That would be the music disc.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson! Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
What? Are you getting it now, sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice? How? How the bleeding nowhere could you... We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windbanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in Mr. McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the discs for the details of the case! There's our scene music again for like the third time in the game so far. Order! 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 On the day of the incident, when we met you in Windbanks, you said this! Scotland Yard already knew it at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGill was involved in the stealing of government secrets!
My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush.
And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume? Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information.
Blimey, not likely. I mean, I was not sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all.
Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men. Yeah, now we're freaking out. Yeah, you enjoy those fish and chips for now, buddy, because you're not going to have them much longer.
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here, in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What?
What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted upon having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious. Then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has this item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person? I don't think he's that stupid. I think he probably hid it somewhere else. In fact, he might have tried to stash it on the person of one of the other robbers. The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely. It could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before, and Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since.
My lord, please! An examination of his personal effects immediately! Well, Inspector? Go ahead, agree to it. Make my theory even more plausible. Agree to it. Do it.
This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me in my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll have a dismissed about it.
Yeah, it's not him. He hid it somewhere else. He's going to agree to it?
I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my lone student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of this inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious. Indeed. To have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runa because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. This disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't quite feel right here. Yeah, he wouldn't have agreed to it so easily. He has to have hidden it somewhere else. He either stashed it on the personnel of one of the other robbers, or it's hidden in one of the evidence pieces. Maybe it's hidden in the music box. I'm not sure. Very well, Counsel. You know the implications. So let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally? No. Search someone else. Yes, the defense fully demands a search be conducted. Well,
don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good.
Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide.
Very well, then. Bailiff. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What?
Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me.
No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else.
So what's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost at last, have you, Sunshine? This court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational.
Oh. Who's that? Oh. Iris?
Rita's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly await his next words.
You what? Don't be so hasty, my lord.
If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it could be. Counsel, of whom you request a search, I don't know which one for sure has to be. We'll just try one at a time. It's gotta be one of them.
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skokin!
Well, I never. Me? Ian?
Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
I guess it probably makes more sense to be him, right? Because he's standing next. Right? Yeah, that makes sense. Because he can more easily reach him than he could the other person.
Please, my lord.
Inspector?
Scotland Yard,
Has objected to the search. Oh, now you object to the search. How convenient. How interesting.
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
eh,
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
but Lord Van Zeeks.
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search.
We got you now, buddy.
Now, I don't know nothing. No disc. Got it out!
Finally gonna cave.
Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this.
Well, would you look at that?
Good lord, that's another music box disc.
I know nothing about it, nothing.
You're all going down.
That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Order. Mr. Skokin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, see? Honest to God, see?
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between this witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that would the inspector traded for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior. Oh, right. Oh, yep, that's right, because he shook him up. I forgot about that. Yep, that's what he was doing.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
It was, yes, during a cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Honestly, my logic was just that he had to be next to him, so it must have been him that he who he hit it on. I didn't even think about that fact they did that at all.
I got a clue.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character, but looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Oh, bless my wig, he hid it?
You.
But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. Hush, hush. A top secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that solve the situation, Inspector?
I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. What does this mean?
He only intended to attack Mr. Skokin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense? Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Just confess already. Get it over with. Admit to it? Yours truly? Please, we have you cornered. You have nowhere left to run. Mr. Graydon! Clearly our recent visitor has an uncommonly active imagination, with evidence to back up everything we've said, you little toad. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony, that I admit, so sentence me accordingly, but that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective, all of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of that is about. You... what? Okay, well, then can we get the detective to confess? Because he didn't kill anyone, and we already know he struck the deal. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. Okay, well then confess. Do it. If that's true, then confess right now. So as members of the public, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. So basically he's saying, I can't directly confess, but you know what happened, so you damn well better say that she's not guilty. It's quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure, and so as one becomes a good judge. Wait, are you saying he's innocent? What? What?
Well, as a fellow person, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Are you kidding me? What? How can you listen to what just happened? And are you kidding me? And I believe the 6 jurors they're going to believe Gregson? Are you all stupid? Oh, every single one of you has room temperature IQ.
Is Ginny going to be found guilty?
If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Winterbank or stole his government secrets, or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Okay, okay, play the music box. There we go, play the music box. Problem solved. Because he has to be in the down low, right? It will threaten his position if the secrets on that disc are revealed. So here's what we do: set the music box, play the discs, and then just sit back and wait. Sit back and wait for him to crack. Because he's made it clear that we have to do it on the down low. Have to do this on the down low. So if we don't do it on the down low and we force the secrets out into the spotlight, then all of a sudden he's gonna start crumbling like a house of cards. I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decisions. No, it is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus not far presented to the court. If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce the gleanings, Ginny will be found guilty.
So then there's no choice, Runo. You have to throw some more evidence at them.
This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Inspector Gregson. Do not leave it to the jury, dear God Almighty. Inspector Gregson, there is one final piece of evidence that I would like you to see.
Yeah? What's that then?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Well, go on.
This is my last chance. Looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit that the deal he clearly struck with Graydon!
Take that!
Is that Mr. McGilded's peculiar music box, Counsel?
Yes, with a disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we've just discovered set in place as well! Alright, here's time number 4 that we've heard it. In 5 cases.
Goodness, this disc, Counsel?
No,
Wait, I can't let you do that.
so alright, well if you can't let's do that, then you know what you do? Just open up your mouth and admit the truth. Do it. Why not?
Because well, it's got nothing to do with this case. That's why.
Oh yeah? Well, guess what? I don't care if it has anything to do with it or not. We're gonna play it and you're gonna open your mouth and talk. Or else all the secrets are gonna come to light. Not true, Inspector! The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that the Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message, and now we have a chance to confirm that theory!
For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here! If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason!
Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness? You're mad. If you let that secret information onto the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot! Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness, that you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty, or by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare!
I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of! Stop drinking champagne, you asshole! My lord, if you please! The court must hear the sounds made by that music box!
Come on, Van Zeke, for Pete's sake, stop him!
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I drink champagne, and then I throw it into the audience to kill someone. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul.
No!
Just fess up. Get it over with. Bring it to an end. Very well. The defense's stance here and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen as this music box is set in operation once more. Last chance, Gregson. This time, with the second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously. Last chance, Gregson. Fess up now or forever hold your peace.
It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code.
Alright, I admit it. Whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up!
And just like that, it's game over. Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you, or did you not, strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with the confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the people in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector?
I did.
Stop. What are you doing, man?
It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess and we were stood here in the stand together, that was when he approached me with the deal.
Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up!
Nowhere left to run now, Graydon.
Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned about the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? And I have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. All information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances, so I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door, and the bloodstains in the overcoat.
By giving false testimony, the witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that, yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury.
I did, but then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night if the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing left, no one left for you to hide behind, as you struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape the conviction of a very serious crime, namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbroker on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Winterbank!
You...
And there's the fifth and presumably final time in this game that we hear the pursuit theme. Oh dear God almighty. Someone stop him, please? Anyone? No one? No one to stop him from trying to kill the inspector? I guess not. Okay, cool. Have a nice day. Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once! There we go. Finally someone stepped up to the plate. Is that it? Did we do it? That's it then. It's all over. Game over? I despise my life.
I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth.
born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole.
And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. But then you decided to try to sell government secrets? Why?
Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life.
Please open the history. Please open the history game. Thank you.
In those slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with a choir talent, so you are. I've money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with my little plan now. I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum, as I was responsible for inspections of the Ministry's communications office. It was a simple enough task.
The lure of the devil's offerings, how easy it is to succumb.
But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable.
By using the music box.
My father was a brickmaker, so my mother divorced him when I was still a child.
Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton.
That's right, he was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box something. I imagine his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code, so I sought out my father again to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier.
Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, eh?
He was a different man to the one of memory, a thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason, so I made up a story.
I've got some work for you, father. Need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to show to the public. I brought the score with me, or two actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, so fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft.
That's how I had him make the 2 discs.
Thereby splitting the information in 2. You were taking considerable precautions indeed.
It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs in the music box for playing them. I changed them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of a deal? The exchange of the second disc? Yes, I'd sold the man information that was that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money.
But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon. For why was it that on the omnibus 2 months ago, your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with McGilded and not yourself?
Well, I received 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with Mr. McGilded. I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. My father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge?
As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish.
My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, but I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Ah, are you saying that? I think you have the picture now, after he twisted everything to his favor in this corner to ensure he walked free. I took matters in my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man. So that policeman... That's right, an imposter hired by me. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate his trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie on their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago, clearly because it has been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I met with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs and the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man. What's this? Winterbank's Pawnbrokery? Aye, a bus of pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem the article I've deposited for you there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I've put a jewel in pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one's like an extremely secure vault. So I knew that after he'd taken steps to hide the discs, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere, and that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at the Windbanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Mr. Straight written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the day of the trial. That pickpocket testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone can see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, and he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline, and he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait till the girl went to Winterbanks to redeem the articles, but unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the one disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing.
Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier.
But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved. Inspector, you recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible, so we started gathering the fellow possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard. We had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector here took the disc on me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc was still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery, I can only describe as a nightmare, while Nash and Ringo were searching the counter. I had located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the shelves of the forfeited articles.
And the second disc was inside?
Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief, but then, something entirely unexpected happened.
What are you doing in my shop? A gunshot rang out in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm.
The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced your limb.
Yes, exactly, but unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I had fired back. A man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storm door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine National Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windibanks on the wretched night. Huh? I don't... I hesitate to say you feel bad for him because, like, he did an unthinkable thing. And he was selling government secrets, but I mean... Dude had a rough life, man. It's just a little twinge of sympathy that you kind of can't help but feel.
Earlier, you called McGilden a monster, a man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded.
Yes, I think I have.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windibank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector, regrettably, you will have to do something or other. Yes, my lord, of course.
It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Fiona Lestrade.
Ah, yes.
It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
Yes, sir. Garrett Squadron standing by, sir. This really is it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. The men are ready to deliver their verdicts.
You realize that there's women on that jury, too. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
I'm sorry, is that not him in the 6th chair? That can't be a coincidence. I'm sorry, that can't possibly be a coincidence, unless I'm just going insane.
Ha! That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno, you finally managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on the top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world.
Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet.
Ah! Why you look at me like that for?
Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider,
Eh?
2 months ago in my courtroom list, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windibank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGiller's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort.
Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully. It's not like you were gleefully wearing Mr. McGiller's coat in your cell yesterday or anything.
Ah, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening.
And turning your attention to the defense. Determining that, when played together, the music box disc contained a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel.
Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Ah! Very sorry about that. It was the only way I couldn't get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... Isn't that...
Who?
Oh.
It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all.
What? What are you saying?
Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see? So much that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to be, in fact.
Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession one feels.
But I must say that it sounds produced by those two discs. Well, nothing more than that. A meaningless series of two different tones.
What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? That's interesting.
My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you off your nuts? How many times do I have to tell you? Let's just contain minstrel secrets, sunshine.
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government's communications. We know McGilded conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna be thinking about it. Because it's really going to bother me. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Lestrade,
Yeah, my lord?
that which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury. A grim catalogue of depravity.
An appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing that I don't see most days in back slums.
I beg your pardon.
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes.
Gina, not the time.
But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The word ain't fair, but if you want to change it, you gotta start at home. You gotta change something about yourself.
Well, it's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windbank, proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty. Holy hell, we did it! Oh, 5 hours of trial, but not all at once, unlike a certain other franchise. And it was finally all worth it. We done. Don't you shoot your. Oh my God, Gina. Okay, that was actually pretty cool. I'll let this one slide, but don't do it again. Oh, we did it. It was all worth it. That is all. Court is adjourned. Now that's what I call a victory. What the hell are you two still doing here? We should be in the defendant's room celebrating, not with your stupid champagne bottle. God damn it!
On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my far eastern friend. Despite being Nipponese, you saw through the pretense to the malice that festered within that Englishman, and at the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside. Damn straight.
You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom.
You did?
When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hoped to look into the eyes of the man I once knew, and try to understand the man you once knew.
You mentioned something earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly?
Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not.
Alright, I'll wait for that day if I must. Yeah, they are just piling on the sequel bait here.
Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement from service 5 years ago, it gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again.
That's a chills down the spine moment. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. But we did it! Victorious! We are victorious! Oh my God. That was awesome. That was intense. We may have had 3 cases of a slog so far, but it was all worth it for the final trial. Oh boy, howdy, that was awesome. And now we can celebrate. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Probably to go fetch the cat. Ah! Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent.
Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naoto. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as old as your name.
What's all about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I?
No one ever has before, see? Kept a promise, I mean, properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. Army life, growing up in the slims, never trusted no one. But that's just because I'd been scared I'd been stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down.
Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust, someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know, though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently, too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson.
Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though.
I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure.
For crying out loud, pack it in!
But I suppose...
I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright.
Thanks. That's the best we're gonna get as a thanks for defending you.
This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself.
After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma, am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Iris? Or... Airlock Sholmes? Ah! That voice! Sholmes? Can someone oh, wait, oh, it's, I was looking around, I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, they don't usually go for the question marks for that long. I'm like, okay, am I blind? What the hell's going on here? And then, because I was sure it was Sholmes, and then I look over in the corner, I'm like, oh wait, he was disguised as a bailiff before. I'm like, ah, yes, there he is, I see him now.
Ah, yes, it was me all along, I would have said when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant babbling!
Ah, but Mr. Sholmes!
Ah, yes, it was me all along, you see?
Oh, Sholmes. Oh, how you never fail to disappoint in one way or another. I assume you've been taken back to the hospital, to be honest.
Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again.
Not typically a place you want to escape from, but okay.
I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. Excuse me 1 second. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence.
How very above board.
Should I call you back and like when you're done?
Unless you want to keep listening to my voices, but
I'm gonna go grab my laptop and reset OBS. Okay, call me when you're done.
I think I'm almost towards the end, so I'll call you when I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't expect this trial to last 2 hours, but the plan. I'm recording the rest of Pokemon X with her tonight, so I'm a bit late, I'll be honest, but I also didn't expect this trial to take 2 goddamn hours. Anyway,
enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Navahodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you.
Oh, thank you.
Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe.
Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade?
While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been fighting for our lives.
Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel.
Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes?
And, in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade.
What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted?
Well, naturally, and if it isn't my intention to alarm you, but... an acquittal in the trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious.
Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest.
Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Was anyone found not guilty in a trial he was working on wanted dead anyway? Is that it?
The very point I was trying to make, and as exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilden, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself.
Yeah, well, it don't bother me.
Oh, really?
Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? Yeah. Him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There are some coves like that bog trotter who are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, upstairs make sure they get what they deserve.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another.
Well, I ain't like the McGulies of the world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see?
A trait in you which is to be admired, Mr. Strayed.
Oi, just give a rest, alright?
As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal is very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina.
Well,
Oh, dear. Oh, hey, Iris.
there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Ah, Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves,
Said the man who just wiggled to the floor like a worm.
What happened?
As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in the room dressed as a bailiff. But these don'ts didn't notice my presence at all. Ah ha 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 ha! They had no idea.
Ah ha 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 ha! Hey, remember when you thought that a snake had, when a snake drinks milk? And could climb up the thing into the vent? Remember that? Yeah, that was fun.
Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure, really.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, Hurley. You just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day.
I'll be careful.
Ouch.
Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight, but you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the mock trial stuff, what was in log, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense.
But diving ain't an offense. It's a job, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Still, it's got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Otto?
Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket.
Well, anyway, I think I can make a change. Good. Change for the better. I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them.
You know what? Good for you.
That's a wonderful idea, Ginny. I'm sure you can do it. What is it?
Aw, don't cry, Gina, come on.
Nothing.
Aw. The present carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once.
Right.
Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes, goodbye, Gina, and good luck. Otto? Yes? No, don't shoot me with this. Don't shoot me with your stupid cotton candy gun. Just. You know, the amount of time it takes you to load that thing, I'm surprised that. Jesus Christ. Ah! What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so.
Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Mr. Strayed.
What?
On occasions such as this, I recommend a simple thank you.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Ginny.
Right, I see. Well. Say it. Come on, you can do it. Form the words. Come on.
Thanks, Otto.
All in a days. Well, would you look at that? She actually smiled.
Thank you for everything what you've done, for believing in me.
My pleasure, Gina. All in a day's work. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. You know, with the amount of time it takes you to load that thing, I'm surprised anyone can ever get. You'd think in the amount of time it takes for that gun to get loaded, anyone could just easily sidestep the attack. Like, I don't know. Well, there she goes. Wonderful level 0 again. I mean, on a character level, I hope we do, because she's awesome. Then hopefully she comes up in the second game. But as far as my voice is concerned, I'm a little sick of doing her voice. So, you know, I'm fine with either. With whether she shows up again or not, I'm totally fine with it.
Well, quite the indomitable pick purse.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial's all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful?
You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled.
Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news?
Not again.
Well, what do you say, Runo? Really?
As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news.
Oh, god damn it, Sholmes. The choice wasn't which one do you want, it's which one do you want first.
And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it?
Let's not go there.
Alright then. Maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently.
Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort.
Alright then, what's the bad news?
The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of Dover have been delayed by a day or more.
That's good news, because it means we can say goodbye to Susato.
That's right. If we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time for Wave Susie off.
How is that bad news? That's good news. That is good news. You don't know what the word good news means, do you, Susie? I just said Susie, goddammit. Iris. But there won't be a train, surely we couldn't be that lucky.
Who do you think I am, Mr. Navahodo?
Mr. Jones?
I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole.
The Great Detective does it again.
Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of the Rail Transport Director's foibles.
What?
I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive. Elementary, my dear Wilson.
Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way.
what are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria.
Like I said a couple days ago, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have their, oh dear, this game. Hey, a gentle reminder, this game is goddamn gorgeous, and I will hear nothing, I will hear nothing to the contrary. Anyway, they want to have the cake and eat it too. They want to have it such that you have the Reno's gas to stand on his own and finish the trial by himself, but they also want to have the ability to say goodbye to Susato, so, you know. April 18th, 5:32 a.m., Port of Dover, Quayside.
That took somewhat longer than I had anticipated.
Susie's boat must be about to leave now.
Miss Susato, where are you? Ah, that's not creepy at all. Standing under the only light in the dimly lit area. Yeah, this isn't how horror movies start. What are you talking about? Over there, look! It looks like she's reading something. No. Don't, whatever you're gonna do, don't do that. Mrs. Otto, what are you doing? That's how horror movies start. The creepy figure in the distance turns her head toward me under the only light illuminating her presence. That's how horror movies start. Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see?
Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go?
It went well. She was acquitted. I can't. Those eyes.
That's wonderful. Really wonderful news.
Oh, I don't like that music. That's sad music. Don't give me sad music. The book you were about to throw into the sea. It was your Encyclopedia of British Law, wasn't it?
Oh, dear. I was hoping you hadn't seen that.
Well, you were standing under the only lights in the area, so it was kind of hard to miss it.
I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now, so I was saying my final farewell.
You were saying goodbye to law? You? Susato-san?
Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the people, Miss Susato?
I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable.
No, doing that is what literally saved our asses. We could not have nailed him without that. Stop selling yourself so short. You're a genius.
That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh, yes. We had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun. I still have Runo's armband.
Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. This band's very important to me.
Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flap-o-mat, so I put it up my sleeve. Really? And then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Windbank's shop with it later that night. I see. And then... After Mr. Naruhodo left the shop, I started to think. That door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes. If Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up to my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know. So you used the cat flap-o-mat to make the people in the door. As captured in a photographic print of the shop. By one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed, it was of the first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though, naturally, without proof, it would have amounted to nothing.
When I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier, the trial of Magnus McGilded. I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then, a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windbank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing. You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime? That's right. But then I realized... it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case. What do you mean? Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door. Ah!
For which, a peephole would be the very thing.
Only the people I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not?
A trap? Is that why she did it? Of course it is.
So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the people to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time that what I was doing was wrong, a criminal offense even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the people could save him. That was my plan. She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began?
My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade.
Ah.
You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene, so Miss Susato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone, for your sake and Miss Lestrade's.
Miss Susato, the truth is, when it happened, I did it because I lost a little of my faith in the law. Oh. I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime, but the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment that I lost my right to call myself judicial assistant.
God damn it, Susato, you saved our asses in there. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied on the witness stand, using that people as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the people inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Miss Susato, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you saved me too from my regrets.
God damn it.
Well, we must all be thankful that Miss...
God damn it, get a hold of yourself. Okay.
We must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured.
Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation that the music boxes contain secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Oh, it wasn't?
There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see. A telegraph operator. And she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones.
As one would expect, after all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted.
In cipher? I see. So then we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway.
Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you.
What? What?
Well, that can be a real word, can it? How funny! Wait! Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. Does that word mean something to you?
Mean something? Asogi was the name of my best friend.
What? But how? How do you know the name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box.
She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. Whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least.
Oh,
It suddenly occurred to me, you see, there's more than one Morse code. Not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use it in their own languages.
I don't believe it. Are you saying?
That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it?
And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code the message is asogi?
Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all the Japanese Morse code.
Iris, would you let me see that? Mr. Sato, do you know it? Did you know Japanese Morse code? Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications.
Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version?
Be that as it may. Iris, show me the message, please.
Of course.
But what can this possibly mean? Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes, it's made the color drain from Susato-san's face. There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code, so the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications? I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names? The first is Kei Asogi, Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc? The second is A Shin. Shin? I recognize that name. The third is T. Gergison. Gregson?
Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the third man on the list.
And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well? And the last name, is it gonna be, let me guess, the Reaper? Is it the Reaper? What's the matter, Mr. Sato? It's just so strange, so unexpected.
Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense.
The last name is... okay, didn't see that one coming, I'll be honest. What? Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Oh, come on, that's not a coincidence. Then after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message, or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. I just can't believe it. Who would have ever thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention the strings of some disturbingly familiar names.
It will appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
So, Daddy could be in Japan then, where Susie Bruno came from.
Iris, this is not the time to have this conversation, but, I got some bad news.
Oh, well. No. It's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be a lot of J's among them.
Oh, the longer we hold this back from you, the more it's gonna hurt, but I don't, Professor John H. Wilson visiting Professor of Medicine at the Imperial Human University, but we can't tell Iris about that now, we just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, when solving the case of Mr. Winbank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder with the mouth of a very dark cave. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. I don't think we're gonna have a choice in the matter, to be honest with you. Don't blow the horn. God damn it. No. No. Nard. Nard. Oh dear. The ship is going to set sail soon. Nard. Nard. It seems so. I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan.
You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Mr. Sato.
Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best.
Mrs. Sato, I'd hope to have you always by my side, to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruhodo, please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world.
Those eyes. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, and don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise that I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript.
Oh, yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes?
Do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, of course. On the SS Borea when I was dragged out from that wardrobe still half asleep. That was not the first time you met. You met in the defendant lobby. That is not, you were lying. You were telling the big lies. That is not the first time you met. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cab with a Susato takedown.
You know very well what I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy, Miss Susato. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Farewell, my turnabout.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead.
Oh, god damn it.
Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Is that the end? Is that it? Credits? Ah, yes. Mr. Naruhodo. I was very ready for credits to start playing there. Yes, Mr. Sholmes? Oh, wait, because we have to do we have to do the objection before credits. Is that why? Because we have to get an objection there before credits roll?
I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the Special Express train, apparently.
Huh?
It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at stations.
But really, we would never have made it to the Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything and how it was all your fault. What? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Miss Susato.
You love defending yourself in court.
Huh? Ha
It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. You really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See?
Say it. Mr. Sholmes?
Yes?
A word, if you don't mind. Just one word.
Why, certainly. Any word you like. Better it out, my dear fellow.
Oh yes, I'd love for you to know those words, and I know just the one he'll use here.
Then, I really must say...
Objection!
Credits? Oh my god damn it! That was fantastic! What a way to end the game. I don't even know where to start. I have okay, I'm gonna put the controller down. I have so much to say. Okay, so first things first. What a goddamn ending. I'm not quite, like, gushing with the tears like I was at the end of Trials, Tribulations, and Spirit of Justice, but I had to hold back the waterworks. You probably heard it in my voice. I really had to hold back the waterworks. And had had Airlock Sholmes not come in with his stupid little "it was all your fault, Mr. Naruhodo" at the end there, I might have come pouring out because of just having to wave goodbye to Susato on the boat. Oh my god, that game. Okay, so I don't even like. I just want to talk about the ending, but no. Okay, I guess we should probably deliver. Well, we'll do a full comprehensive sweep of the whole game. So okay, so the first case was fantastic. One of the best first cases in the series. It's right on cue. Here's ouchie pain. We got the really just logically airtight, entertaining witnesses, as you can see right here. Just really smartly written from start to finish, and a fantastic introduction for all the characters. Case 2, admittedly, a little underwhelming. It kind of felt very anticlimactic in a lot of ways, because it really just, it felt like they tried to mash an investigations case with a standard Ace Attorney case, but without either of the things that made them, like, it doesn't have the trial sections of an Ace Attorney case, nor did it have the final confrontations that you would expect in an investigations case. So you just have this weird middle ground that doesn't really work at all, and there were way too many dance deductions. Like, one, maybe two, to introduce yourself to the mechanics, but no, we did not need to have as many as we did. That felt like it really dragged out the pacing unnecessarily. Case 3 was great until the ending, when it all fell apart. Case 4 was, I want to say it's good, but the more I think about it, and the more I think about just all the contrivances and conveniences that just allow that case to barely happen at all, the lower it sinks in the rankings. I don't know, I'd have to think about that some more. So, I mean, you'll see on screen as I'm talking about all this stuff, you'll see where it's popping up in my rankings list, but I haven't quite decided yet. But it's gonna keep going down the ranks the more I think about it, I think. Because there's just so much about that doesn't work. But this case, holy hell, this case. Okay, admittedly, the first couple trials were a little slow to get started, a little rough around the edges, a little bit more of a roundabout way of getting about doing things. A lot of it was spent just talking about the robbers no one cares about instead of the heart of the matter. But once you got past all that, the investigations were fantastic. The character development between all of the characters, just from start to finish, the little mini case involving who the code actually belonged to would just balloon into this massive conspiracy inside the pawn shop and everything to do with that. All of it was phenomenal. Then transforming into the little dinner they had, just a moment for all the characters to slow down and just talk themselves and get to know each other. And then that leads into the trial itself, which, what a freaking finale, man. Every single thing that felt like such an insignificant payoff, from the stupid cat device to Gina's pickpocketing techniques, everything that seemed so insignificant came together into a masterful, ingenious payoff in the end. It was so goddamn good. Oh my god, what a way to end the game. And don't even get me started on that ending. That final scene with Susato was just, oh my god, my heart. I'm not kidding, she is my favorite character in the entire series. It didn't take long for her to start climbing the ranks, but by the end of Case 2, and it just kept going further from Case 3 to 4 to 5, she is undoubtedly my favorite character in the entire Ace Attorney series. She is intensely intelligent. She's incredibly compassionate. She doesn't take anyone's shit. She stands up for herself, stands up for what she believes in. She's just everything that you would admire, and she has immeasurable passion for what she does for a living, which is being a judicial assistant. She has like a head on her shoulders. She's compassionate. She was awesome. She was so awesome from start to finish. My god, having to say goodbye at that boat, at the pier, whatever, watching her just waving goodbye at the dock, just my heart can't take it, man. I don't know. The thing is, it's a weird writing choice, because she's so imperative to the story, or like to the character. Like, she's so imperative to the team that we've established that I can't imagine. Because like, that's the thing with at the end of the first Ace Attorney game, was when Maya went away. Like, I didn't think she'd be gone for all that long. At least I hope she wouldn't be, because she was so imperative to the success of the first game that I didn't think, nor did I hope that she'd be gone for long. And then she came back in the case 2 of the second game. So I hope something still happens here. I hope she's not gone for long. I really, really hope that she's not gone for all that long, because she was just so awesome. He's like I said, I can't sing her praises enough as a character. And don't fade out, stupid switch screen. So I'm hoping that we see her again pretty soon. That said, it wasn't a flawless game. Let's be clear. Like I said, cases 2, 3, 4 all have pretty big issues that I that I've gone over in detail. Just generally, in general, the pacing was a little all over the place. You know, fundamentally, the core issue of the fact that every case was crammed into just a single day, so that basically you can't. I much prefer when cases kind of stair-step you up to the reveals to the point where, like, you have this section where you hit the maximum reveal of this bit, and then you go to the next day where you hit the maximum reveal of this bit. This past 6 months have been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise. Your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well. Susato-san will return in Avengers Endgame. So yeah, pacing was a bit rough around the edges with that because it's all condensed into one single day, and there's no room to kind of spread out the reveals and spread out the pacing. And there it is. There's the family. There's the Great Ace Attorney family with the cat as well, stealing my hat. You stupid cat. It wants to be the cat with the hat. Aww. I love these guys. Even Airlock. I'm gonna get to Shomes in a bit. So is that it, or is there a post-credit scene? Because I'm not. Oh dear. What is this? The hell? I guess we're walking now. Okay. Bit interesting. Anyway, but how does Airlock Shrooms get billing against Susato? That's such bullshit. Anyway, I can stay on topic. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of the pacing. It felt a little condensed into the just one day when they could have more easily spread it out over multiple days and had a greater effect, I think. So that was a little rough throughout the course of the game. Just pacing in general was kind of rough around the edges. In terms of gameplay mechanics, Room Testimony is still as weak as it always has been, because with the exception of that one bit in the final case, it's really just you do what the game tells you to do when it tells you to do it, and there's no room for player interpretation whatsoever. It's just you're just following the script from start to finish. So it was just still a very linear, pointless mess. The Dance of Deduction, admittedly, wasn't a big fan of it at first because they threw so many of those gameplay sections at you at once. But by the end of the game, it kind of grew on me a little bit. I mean, that's the story of both Dance of Deduction and Airlock Shrooms, because Airlock Shrooms at the beginning of the game, gotta be honest, I mean, wasn't a huge fan of him, because, you know, he just, I mean, I didn't hate him because he wasn't like someone you hated because of how stupid he was. He was a lovable idiot, right? Like, he's someone you laugh at, like, that's our Shrooms, but, you know, he wasn't vitriolic in any way. But by the end of the game, when he started to show a little bit more of his conviction and his determination and his intelligence to some extent, no, bye, Kazuma. Kazuma, no, come back, no. God damn it, Kazuma. But yeah, as he started to show more and more of that, he kind of grew on me a little bit, as did the Dance of Deduction mechanic. Just seeing them like dance around the room with the spotlights everywhere and the epic music in the background. It's very much appealing from a cinematic presentation perspective, definitely. But the highlight is easily the summation examination, which is the best new mechanic they've added to the series in a very long time. I love the summation examination. Really, I don't know why they didn't start having you pit juror statements, or start pitting not just juror statements, but just people's statements in general against each other, because that's what the group testimony should have been from day one. Since the crossover, it always should have been that the mechanic there was that you pit the people's statements against each other and have them, like, see how they contradict. That was the whole point. Or that, at least that's what should have been the point, but for some reason they didn't do that until the summation examination. And I'm glad that they finally got around to it. So then, I guess, so that's all the plot and gameplay stuff out of the way. By and large, the plot was, you know, it had a strong beginning and a strong ending with a bit of a wobbly middle bit. The gameplay was mostly good. It was either good, okay, or rough around the edges in terms of group testimony. But now let's talk about characters, starting with Van Zeeks, which, gotta be honest, don't really have much to say about one way or the other, because he's not really much of anything right now. Like, I've seen some people in comments say he's Von Karma without the charm, and I don't know if I'd put it that way, but the general sentiment I think I would still stand by, because really, there's not much to him outside of, I am the Dracula man who drinks the blood of my victims, and, like, I've never lost a case or whatever, and, like, there's clearly something more to him, but that kind of goes into a point I'm going to make here in a second, which is that There's something more to him, but right now we don't have that something to go off of. But I guess I'll find that in the second game. But that's my other point, which is that conclusion on Van Zeeks is that, you know, I'm kind of ambivalent about him right now. We'll see what happens later. But that's just kind of the general sentiment about the whole game, which is that there's a lot that has not been wrapped up. There's, just in this shot alone, Iris is getting a resolution to Iris's parent lineage and telling her that her father's dead. Susato and her father's storyline, which you don't even see her father in this game. I mean, we did in the beginning, but not towards the end. We didn't see him ill, so we don't know what's going to happen with him. We don't know why she knows about the Hound of the Bakersfield, or why that story is so terrifying. We don't know what Van Zeeks' deal is. We don't know what Inspector Hasanaga's deal is. We don't know what's going to happen with the Mary Poppins knockoff in the first case. We don't know what the deal is with whether Kazuma's alive or not. We don't know what the deal is with the guy who escaped his country, which I'm pretty sure was the 6th juror in this case. We don't know if we're going to see Gina again. We don't know who the people in case 4 were. We don't know, there's just so, I don't even know where to stop. There's just so much we don't know. There's the Morse code message. There's what the deeper mysteries behind the connection between the British Empire and the Empire of Japan. There's so much we don't know about this world that we haven't found out yet. I mean, this, by the way, is why that I said I wasn't going to play this game until they were either both localized officially or both fan translated. Because as I had been told, the story of these two games are so intrinsically linked to one another that to play one without the other is to only get half the experience. So you really supposed to are supposed to play them back to back, which is why I wanted to wait until they were both out so I could play them back to back. So I guess I'll have to wait and see until the second game to see what gets resolved, what doesn't, and what, because there's more than what I just listed there, but there's a lot. There's a lot that's left to wrap up in the second game. I'm just hoping that they're going to be able to pull it off. But, oh. That's a nice image right there. Man, I'm going to have a lot of choices. I mean, I feel like if I put that image as the thumbnail, people might be like, what? Kazuma's alive? So I probably won't use that one. I'll probably use the other one with the whole family. Which, that's going to be my final point, actually, is that, because we're done with the credits now, so I'll get my final thoughts on the game, and then I'm going to wrap things up here, is this game was carried by its characters. Because the plot, strong beginning, strong ending, wobbly middle bit. But the thing that was consistently great from start to finish was the characters, the interactions they had with each other. And really, that core family of 4 with Ryunosuke, Susato, Iris, and Airlock Sholmes, I really love their dynamic as a little family that living there in that office. I really, really love the dynamic that those characters had, and I can't wait to see more of them in the future. I hope that Gina makes a return, even if my voice won't agree with that. But I also hope that Susato comes back sooner rather than later. I hope they don't pull a Justice for All with Edgeworth and wait until the last goddamn case to bring her back. They better not pull that shit. I imagine she won't be in the first case because the first case will be like, oh, here's Ryunosuke doing a quick little adventure. I'm guessing they'll probably do a Justice for All from Maya, where she comes back in the second case and it's all a big triumphant reveal or whatever. But you know, we'll see. But I really love that the dynamic that those characters have with each other. It was so heartwarming to watch. And the final scene at the dock was just a culmination of everything that makes those characters so relatable and so enjoyable to watch. So overall, where would I put this game in the tier list? I'd probably put it in the good category, because there are enough plot issues that prevent it from getting in the great or outstanding category, but there's enough character work to make up for those plot issues and still overall round it out to, is it flawless? No. Is it one of the best things that Ace Attorney's ever created? No. Is it one of the worst things I've ever created? Absolutely not. It was still a fun ride from start to finish. I'm happy I played it, and just, like, even though I would still put it in the good, like, mid to low good tier, the characters were still phenomenal, and above all else, after the year I've had, I was just happy to be playing another Ace Attorney game again. Honestly, even for all the things that Case 4 threw my way, for the rushed ending of Case 3, for the wobbly mess of Case 2, even if we just throw all that aside, even considering everything that this game has thrown my way, I was just thrilled beyond belief to finally be able to play a new Ace Attorney game and just be able to do a simple thing such as open the court record, select the evidence, and present it on the statement I want to, without doing any random FPS bullshit or spinning words or... that's a rant for another day. I'm not going down that road. But I'm happy I played a new Ace Attorney game. I hope you all enjoyed my Let's Play. I hope you enjoyed my reactions. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. I hope you enjoyed my thought process. I hope you enjoyed the ride of the Great Ace Attorney adventures. But we're not done yet. Stop fading away, you stupid switch screen. I'm just going to plug the controller in. There's no point in dealing with this anymore. Okay. So in conclusion, this game was a fun ride overall, still a solid, good game, but not anywhere near the top tier Ace Attorney games. But that doesn't matter to me because I'm just happy that I was able to play. I'm happy I was able to play a new Ace Attorney game. That's all that matters in the end. So we're not quite done yet because, as we know, this is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, meaning that we still have one more game to play through, the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where I'm hoping that a lot of what's left unresolved is going to come to fruition in this game, and we're all going to get all the answers that we need. So thank you all so much for watching, stay tuned for next time, and hope to catch you all either tomorrow or in a day or two for the start of my Let's Play of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, and in turn, the final Ace Attorney game, not available that I can personally play, the final Ace Attorney game that exists in the world right now. Which is both a very exciting and very scary thought. Goodbye!